In the November 2024 issue 5 of the Journal of Industrial Relations, I, Marjorie Jerrard, along with my Monash University colleagues, Professor Greg Bamber and Associate Professor Tui McKeown, were pleased to publish our article on the impact of regulatory and other changes on Australian trade union strategies and campaigns 2023 to 2024. This was in the journal's annual review of critical issues in industrial relations in 2024, themed as Keeping Pace with Change and Blurring of Boundaries. Our article was set against the regulatory changes introduced by the Australian Labor government as part of its Closing the Loopholes Amendments, as well as against economic and industry changes affecting work and workers in general. Also, it was due for publication just as the Channel 9 Media Group released stories and articles in the Constructing Bad series investigating internal ructions in the CFMEU's Construction and General Division, with its initial focus on the Victorian branch and its then secretary. This investigative series is ongoing.
Our article covered some issues then facing certain unions, Marjorie, as you know, and which are continuing. These include accusations faced by the CFMEU, the construction, the big construction union, artificial intelligence and how best unions can protect their members' workplace rights, including ownership of their creative labour, new forms of unionism emerging that may cover small businesses in Australia as they do in Britain, union mergers and demergers, and issues around the same jobs, same pay cases that unions were starting in late 2024.
The success of the same pay cases brought by unions such as the Mining and Energy Union, the Meat Workers Union, the Transport Workers Union, and the Flight Attendants Association of Australia have seen wage increases for members and others on sites covered by subsequent Fair Work Commission's orders. These increases have been between $15,000 and $45,000, depending on the industry, the existing enterprise agreements, and the existing labour hire arrangements within a particular company or work site. The challenge for unions is that the SJSP cases have been brought on a site-by-site basis, even when all the sites may be owned by one employer, which delays the Fair Work's decisions. This results in staggered outcomes for those to be covered by the orders and a drain on union resources. This latter becomes apparent when one considers that it is some of the smaller unions in terms of membership and resources which are bringing these groundbreaking cases before the Commission. For example, the Mining and Energy Union, the Meat Workers Union, and the Flight Attendants Association. Now, the roll-on effect of these increases, particularly in regional and remote areas, has been a great boost to local communities in terms of spending and improving cost of living. It had been feared in the lead up to the election that if the Peter Dutton-led opposition had won that May 2025 election, that these SJSP provisions would be rolled back, if not completely dismantled, which ironically would have negatively impacted cost of living, an issue which was part of the campaigns of both major parties in the run-up to the election.
Turning to AI, our article discussed the challenges facing specific unions, namely the Media, Entertainment, Arts Alliance, and their actions in challenging inappropriate use of AI, including this union's campaign for pay increases and protections against AI, which are modelled on the agreement reached by its American counterpart, which engaged in a long strike in Hollywood. Australia doesn't yet have adequate regulation to prevent exploitation of workers from inappropriate use of their creative output. A concern about AI, according to the Australian Council of Trade Unions, is that employers can also use it to hire, fire, discipline, or promote workers in discriminatory ways, as has occurred in the US Amazon subsidiary Whole Foods, where AI was used to interpret employee data to predict workers' risk of unionization. And we saw some echoes of this in the dispute in Victoria and neighbouring parts of Australia in late 2024, when workers in Woolworths distribution centres were concerned about AI being used there without any consultation, and it took industrial action to get that changed, which led to supermarket shelves being empty in and around the state of Victoria in the all-important period in the run-up to Christmas 2024. And they were concerned that AI was introduced without consultation, and many unions are concerned about this. And AI is also associated with technological changes that are risks to employees' privacy, which is exacerbated in Australia, unlike in the European Union, for example, as we have little regulation in Australia to protect employees. Unions such as the Electrical Trades Union and the Independent Education Union, the IEU, have concerns about workplace surveillance and are campaigning to protect members' privacy. The IEU is most concerned about independent schools' lack of capacity to protect teachers from students videoing classroom activities and uploading online videos of fellow students and teachers without their permission, sometimes with the videos having been inappropriately altered using AI. And the Academics Union is also expressing similar concerns in the higher education context.
Now, regarding union mergers, the proposed merger between the Meat Workers Union, the AMIEU, and the Australian Manufacturing Workers Union did not progress. This has left the Meat Workers Union as basically the only non-amalgamated union in Australia. After the Mining and Energy Union's successful demerger from the CFMMEU in 2024, the Forestry and Manufacturing Division's members also voted to demerge, changing the legal identity of the union to become the Timber, Furnishing and Textiles Union, the TFTU.
A TFTU leader stated that the members wanted a change to successfully reflect their industries, their values, and their futures. Both demerged unions, the TFTU and the Mining and Energy Union, wanted independence from the CFMEU's tainted Construction and General Division to gain integrity and to give members control over their unions' strategies and resources. Our article examines the accusations about the Construction and General Division, which are continuing. The federal government put the division based in Victoria into administration in August 2024, with a senior barrister asked to investigate bullying, corruption, and lawlessness.
Subsequently, other branches around this country were also placed into administration. The Secretary and Assistant Secretary of the New South Wales branch of the Construction and General Division faced their own challenges. They have both pleaded guilty to corruption for receiving monies and benefits to which neither of them were entitled. Both officials had spent considerable time denying any accusations of wrongdoing, and this cost their branch a lot of time and money in defending the charges before their plea of guilty. In the light of all the scandalous behaviours by parts of the Construction and General Division's leaders, it is perhaps little wonder that we have seen other divisions of the merged union seeking to leave in order to regain their independence and integrity by disassociating themselves and their members from the Construction and General Division of the CFMEU.
Turning to the question of union membership density, that's the proportion of those eligible who belong to relevant unions. In 2024, 13.1% of employees were a member of a union in their main job, which is a small increase over the last couple of years. In 2022, it was 12.5%. Union leaders take encouragement that this is the first increase in membership density since 2011. Some union leaders are now prioritising the recruitment and retention of members. This has been facilitated by unions' SJSP victories. However, recruitment and retention is not easy, especially in view of the structural changes in the Australian economy and when there's much negative comment about unions in the media and by certain employers. In closing, the May victory in 2025 of the Labour government getting re-elected should provide a benefit for Australian unions as they can cement the gains they made under the previous term of the Labour government, known as Closing the Loopholes Amendments. And unions continue to campaign for more protections and improvements for their members. And thanks, Marjorie, for leading this article.
Thank you, Greg.